All right. Did you know that 40% of Americans have no life insurance? Staggering number. 40% of Americans have no life insurance. Let's talk about your future at any age, 18, 20, 30. Right? Tonight, I really want to talk to people in there from 18 to about 30. I'm talking to you. If that's you, listen in. If you know someone like that, go ahead and hit that share button. If you're a parent of an 18, 20 plus year old, tune in. If you're the aunt of an 18 plus 20-year-old, tune in. If you are the grandmother of an 18, 20-year-old young adult, tune in. The godmother, the aunt, whomever you are, tune in, share this information. I am talking to you. I'm Carmen Bernard, and what I do is help people to protect their future. This is something that we don't or we didn't talk about, but now the information is here. We've got to talk about it, but we've got to make sure we're utilizing it, right? Knowledge is power. We have the knowledge, but if we don't utilize it, then it is not knowledge is, they say knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is what is power, right? So we have to utilize it. All right. I love doing what I do, right? I am all of my children are actually grown now. They're in their 30s and up, all of them. And I even have one that's just began her in the 40s. So, however, I have a grandchild that just turned 18. And I have nephews and nieces that are in this age group. And what I know is that I didn't receive this information when I was that age. Would I have listened? I don't know, right? Because most of us, we are young, we know everything, we do not listen. So I don't know if I would have listened, but I would have appreciated getting that information. And a lot of times, even when I was in the classroom, right, what I realized is that kids may not do it or hear it or look as if they have gotten it the first time, but after they've heard it the first, the second, the third time, they can look back on that prior knowledge. One of the things that I've come to see is that many of those students that I taught when they were in the 8th grade, the 6th grade, the 7th grade, the 8th grade, the things that I was teaching them, they have come back and said to me, Miss Bernard, the things that you taught me in 6th and 7th and 8th grade, especially the 8th grade, I am doing in college. I remember what you said, right? So now it just goes deeper, but they remember it. So it's about prior knowledge. So we want to be able to make sure that they have this information. When I was 18 and 20, I did not have this information. And I was a young mom. I was a pretty young mom, right? I had my children in my 20s. And I was probably struggling to figure out what to do, where the money was going to go, because you're young, you're not making that much money. But now we have 18, 20-year-olds, 22-year-olds that are bringing in 6 figures. And you know what? We know how to earn money. We know how to spend money. We do not know how to protect money. We do not understand how to grow money without losing it, and making sure that we have a future that's going to thank us for the decisions we made when in the past, right? So that's what I want to talk about. So last week, right, I talked a little bit about the different types of insurance, and I did an overview, right? A kind of an overview, right? Today, I want to talk to young people. I want to talk to the people who are in their jobs. They're making money. They really have no big cares because they have no children, right? Or they may have one child, right? But I'm specifically speaking to you young people that you are you're making money, you you don't have any kids, any responsibilities, and you're bringing in the money and you are spending, right? You might even be saving because someone may have put that little birdie in your ear that you should save for the future, right? You might have heard, I think, did we speak on this last week? But in many shows past, we talked about emergency funds. So you might have even learned to start saving on an emergency fund. But what I want to talk to you about today is making sure you understand all of your options when it comes to protecting your income, right? I am going to, I'm going to, I'm talking to you adults, uh, I want to explain to young adults, even young adults, why is it that you need to have life insurance, right? Most people, you will hear people say, I am young, I'm not going to die. None of us are planning to die, right? But here's what I want you to go away from: that life insurance, the only problem it solves is if you die, right? So a lot of us have a phobia of speaking about death, right? Some of the things may have been passed down from older generations, that this is taboo to speak about death, right? However, I want to talk to you about the reasons why it's important that you talk about these things and you understand these things. So let's say we have this guy, Alex, right? Let's say we have Alex. Alex is in his 20s. Alex is in his 20s, does not have any children. He's making good money. But he's not thinking about the what ifs, what can happen, right? What if I lose my job? Oh, well, I'll find another job, you know? What if I don't like where I'm working and whatever? I'll find another job. I'll do something else. But what I want to talk to you about is, what if you couldn't work? What if you couldn't work? And, there have been so many examples of young people that have suffered an illness that caused them not to work. I like to say, it's not what if you die, it's what if you didn't die. So here's what I want you to think about. You have no children. You have no quote unquote responsibilities. But do you have a parent? Is it a single parent? Do you have two parents that are really working hard now, trying to get it together to make sure that they will survive in retirement? Right? Do you have that? Do you have siblings? Do you have younger siblings that you sometimes help out? Those siblings, maybe it's clothing, maybe it's some of the household items. Do you have siblings? Right? Is there anybody that you are helping? So if your income was gone, right? Not just you, if your income was gone, what would happen? Right? So if you care about that, this is one of the reasons I want you to start thinking this way, even at 18 and 20, right? I want you to understand the impact that you losing your income or you passing away prematurely would have on those around you that you help out. You're not totally responsible for them, right? You're not responsible for them, but you help them out. All right. Hey, Jerns. Hey, Jerns. How are you? Thank you for joining me. All right. So your parents, your siblings, right? Your partner, right? Your boo, because many of you are booed up, right? What would happen? how would your absence or the absence of your income due to illness or something affect those people, right? Here's my thing. Here's my thing. Life insurance solves many different problems. Three of them I'm going to highlight. Number one is if you suffered a premature death. If you die too early, life insurance solves that problem. Life insurance also solves the problem if you become ill. Let me put a caveat in that. Some types of life insurance with living benefits, but you want to make sure that you are getting a living benefit that will allow you to live, that it's not going to take away so much of your future income, right? So life insurance solves the problems. One, if you died prematurely. Two, if you become ill. But you know what's the other one that we never talk about? Life insurance solves the problem of if you live too long. So here you are in your 20s, right? But you get to 60 and you retire. And many of you are retiring way before 60. You're like, this is not for me. This is for the birds. I'm retiring when I'm 40 and 45 and 50. And if you retired at that age, you can be sure to live, well, not be sure, but you can possibly live for another 50 years at 50, another 60 years at 40, right? We are living longer now due to technology, due to changes in how we're taking care of ourselves. We're living longer. So the average 65-year-old are living way past into their 80s and 90s. So that's 30 years that you have to take care of yourself. So even though you may have saved or invested, wouldn't you love to have income that would come in no matter what? You could not outlive it. Even if you live beyond 100, you couldn't outlive it. Well, life insurance solves that problem. Life insurance solves the problem of if you live too long. And that's why I wanted to talk to you today, because it's not just about dying, which is what we always associate life insurance with. And I don't get me wrong, life insurance, the major reason, the bottom foundation is for that. However, we are able to use this tool to solve many other problems, right? But let's take it back. And let's say there was a premature death, right? Let's say you died prematurely, right? People get into accidents. I think I mentioned this. Last year, I lost about 2 or 3 students that I taught in their early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, due to an accident, a motorcycle accident, some kind of vehicular accident, right? So these things can happen. Well, how is that going to affect those that care for you, right? How is that going to affect your parents, especially if they are still either taking care of younger siblings, they are working paycheck to paycheck, they are planning for retirement, right? They have saved, they have a nest egg that they have saved. They want to take a vacation. Now they can't even do it anymore. You might be saying, well, I'm gone. Like they shouldn't be enjoying themselves. But you know what? Life goes on. Life goes on, right? And so these people that are dependent on you or that you are helping, they are they don't now have to do something but like dipping into their retirement fund, dipping into their vacation fund, or God forbid, they have none of that. They're living paycheck to paycheck. So now they have to beg, borrow, steal. I hope they're not stealing, but in order to take care of your final arrangements, funeral costs, right? Potential lost income. You were helping. How does that happen? And 18 to 20, 18 to 30-year-old, I'm going to go from 18 to 29, right in the 20s, right? You want to think about how term life insurance is one, how that can bridge that financial gap for your family, just in case there was a premature death in the family. How can you bridge that using term life insurance, right? You are building your career. You are working, you're achieving financial freedom, financial independence. You want to travel, you're doing that. You're traveling, but you want to also add one other thing, which is peace of mind. You can do all that you want to do once this foundation has been set. Have you ever seen a home that's being built that was started at the roof? I definitely won't want to live there. So most of the times when you're building a house, not most of the times, all of the time when you're building a house, it has a foundation. And that is what you are going to do with your that's what you're going to do with your financial house. You're going to secure your financial house with that foundation, right? Term life insurance is one part of the one option, one vehicle that can help to lay that foundation. And that would help to, number one, when you're young, it's cheap. It is very inexpensive. Okay. A 20-something-year-old can get $100,000, $200,000, $500,000 for just a couple of dollars a month, cents per day, pennies per day, right? And you can keep that for a long time. In addition, if you're want to make sure that you have money, if you live too long and money would be there coming in your retirement, not only just money, but tax-free money. That's how the wealthy keep their money, right? Number one, they leverage other people's money. And number two, they use it tax-free. So you can have tax-free money coming in for life. Doesn't matter how long you live, 100, 105, 110, 120. And if you live to 120, most of these policies end down at 120. And guess what? They'll give you the check so you could go party at 120, right? So many people, young adults especially, you would make the assumption that life insurance is expensive. It is not. And guess what? You don't even have to talk to me. I can send you a link. You can go in and sign it up yourself. Most of the times you will not even have to do a medical exam. There's no blood, there's no needles, there's nothing. You just answer a few questions and you're covered just like that, right? Very, very affordable. And policies that allow you to really put away money and grow cash value that you can use along the way to do something. You can use to buy income producing assets. You can go in there, take the money out, purchase assets while the money is still compounding. I'm talking to you 20-year-olds. I'm talking to you 25-year-olds. I'm talking to you 29-year-olds. I'm talking to you single people that have not a chick nor a child to worry about, but you may want to worry about your parent, right? You may want to worry about yourself later on. Hey, I like that. Worry about yourself. Y'all seen that, right? Little girl, worry about yourself. Why don't you worry about yourself? I should have called this name of this, worry about yourself. Right? Um, you're healthy. Your health is your credit when it comes to life insurance. Understand that there are 20-year-olds right now that are suffering from major disastrous illnesses, cancer. Some people have even suffered a stroke, a heart problem, and they're unable to buy life insurance even if they had the money. So here's the thing. Your health is your credit. And when you purchase life insurance, if you purchase, especially term life insurance, let's say where you are, you're not making a lot of money right now, but you could afford $10, you can afford $20, you can afford $30, and that will keep you all the way into your 50s or into your 60s, wherever you are, right? Now you are able to get the type of life insurance that will help you, that you can now convert to something permanent. So that even if you did become ill, even if you did suffer a major catastrophe in your life, they cannot take it away from you. You can now convert at the same health you had. So most of you will likely get a preferred status, right? But you can now keep that even if later on you're uninsurable because you've developed something that nobody would accept you. It does not matter. So if you had $500,000 and you can afford it, you can keep that $500,000. If you had $3 million, you can keep that $3 million, right? And even if when you were older, that $3 million cost you $100,000 per year for that insurance, and you know now that something is so wrong with you that you're probably going to die, and they're not going to ask you, not have to provide any information about it, you can now convert that into a permanent policy. Wouldn't you pay $100,000 to get $1 million? Right? Wouldn't you pay $20,000 to get 500,000? Right? So these are things we got to think about. These are things we got to think about, right? In our future. There's something else I wanted to make sure that I mention, and but that was important. The ability to convert your policy. So you're really protecting your insurability, the ability to convert that policy later on, even if you were now in bad health, but they will go based on the health when you were 20. Isn't that great? Right? You're now 60, but they're going on the health you were when you were 20. You're now suffering from diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, cancer, stroke, whatever. But they're still going to, in their eyes, you are going to be that young, healthy person that you were when you were 20 years old with nothing. So we don't know that. These are things we should know. Here it is. I wanted to remember to mention. It's before you get into trouble, right? I've known many young people to have gotten in trouble. Maybe they were drinking and they got in the car and now they have a DUI. Before you do that. So when you're 18, 19, 20, when you're not supposed to be drinking, when you shouldn't really, that's the time to get that policy, because they also look at that before you make some kind of youthful mistakes. The politicians always say, well, I was young back then, right? Well, the insurance companies look at things like that. So before you get into that. And I wanted to make sure I spoke to the grandmother, the aunt, the mother of these young adults, because this is something that you can do for your child as well. Right? So, make sure that you help these young people. You talk to these young people. Spoke to a parent today and he said, yeah, I spoke to my young child before about this, and I give them the form, and all they had to do was fill out the form and they didn't do it. Well, guess what? Now everything is online. They don't have to sit down and fill out a form. All they need to do is to give me a call, and we'll make sure that they are protected. We'll also make sure that you're protected, because it's your retirement money. It's your vacation money. It's your money that you set aside for something else, right? So this is how you protect them and how you protect you. So yeah, I wanted to speak to the aunties, the ones that want to be the rich auntie with the sneakers and stuff. I'm not saying you can't buy them sneakers. Buy them the sneakers. Buy them the clothing. Buy them that. But set aside $10 a month to help pay for this for them. Okay. And then when they see how important this is, that it's so important to you, that will transfer to them at some point, so that they can do it. All right. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that. So it's not just about if I die, I don't plan to die. It is not just about that. It's not just about if I get sick. It's not just about that. It's not just about I don't have any kids, or I don't have to worry about that, or I'll do it later. Now is the time. And especially for parents and grandparents and aunts and nephews and godmothers that I'm talking to you, do it even sooner, right? But most times term policies are typically on young adults starting at 18. But if you are the rich auntie and you really wanted to start putting away money for them for later, whether it's for college, whether it's for their retirement, whether it's turning that kid into a millionaire later, you can do it as young as 2 weeks old. 2 weeks old. So anytime between that 2 weeks and when they become a young adult, you could do it. And then if not later on, you can still do it, and you have different options of doing it, right? And I don't want to run into one more 20-year-old, 30-year-old that's talking about I have a policy, an insurance policy for $20,000 and for $30,000. No, it's not. It's better than nothing, right? It's better than nothing, especially in the case of a premature death and you have funeral costs and things like that. But we need to start thinking about giving millions to our family. We need to start thinking about having millions in retirement. That's what we need to start doing. If you stop by today, please give me a like, a share, a follow. Hit that button. A bunch of you came in. I am unable to see stuff. Sometimes I see it after, so I'm going to make sure that I'm going to make sure that I respond to any comments that are on there. But say hello. Say hello. All right. Welcome to my Instagram people that stopped by. I'm going to try to go live more often on Instagram. But welcome to you. Hit that button. It's not going to give you, it's not going to take anything away from you, but just hitting that love button, that heart, gives this video more traction so that others can see it. You may not need it, but somebody do. So I want to thank you tonight. If you spent 30 seconds listening, if you spent a minute listening, if you didn't even click on it and you listened anyway, I want to thank you. I want you to share that information, because I have heard too many times, I wish I knew that. I wish I knew that. I developed, they just did me borderline diabetes. I'm 28 years old. I'm skinny. And now I still have borderline diabetes, right? Let us cover ourselves, cover our families. And this is Carmen with nothing but big facts. Just the facts. Nothing but big facts. Have a good night. Bye. What's in there? You'll never know. All right. Thanks, people. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful night. Thanks for joining.